All right, how's everyone doing? This is your creation. My name is Starseed Bey. um, Today should be an interesting video. Definitely a lot of things always seem to unfold themselves. If you ever pay attention to your life, I hope you pay attention to your life. There's always little crumbs or sprinkles or just the spirit or the soul that talks you through your path, that guides you through a certain doorway uh, or a certain area that you need to pay attention to. Sometimes you're not even aware of it. If you've watched my videos or watch my videos, you constantly see breadcrumbs or a path forming. There's always something that the spirits or the soul or Christ is leading to, and it fascinates me personally on a personal level on how that works, and being mindful and during times of judgment or you're going to be judged element, right? Because I came across that as well um, on this week's journey. So yeah, it's been interesting. So we're going to be talking about that, looking at scriptures and things of that nature. So let me go ahead and plug myself, and then we'll get started here. So if this is your first time watching me, whether it be on YouTube or Facebook, I am on YouTube. I definitely have a lot of different content on there, from spirituality to other different topics that are going on around the world. So definitely like, subscribe, share out. It helps me out and it helps you guys out. I'm also on Facebook. I got a public site at facebook.com/realtalk. So definitely like the page, share it out. Definitely leave comments there as well. And then I'm also on patreon.com/AdamStarseedBey. So definitely check me out there. Any kind of content that I have on Facebook or YouTube, I'll post on there as well. So yeah, so definitely cool stuff, man. But yeah, so being mindful during judgment. I had to do this with myself as well. I was watching, and that's what sparked this video. I got to work overnight tonight, and I was like, I'll just make a video tomorrow. But just my soul, my heart was like, no, you need to make this video right now. And I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and go live. So that's what I'm doing right now. So being mindful during judgment. So I was watching a podcast with Michael Basham, and it was a beautiful podcast. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched the majority of it, and it was about this couple that Michael Basham was talking with, and they were talking about going through being abused as a child, going through depression and things of that nature. And at the end of the day, they found God, their creator, and they found Christ and give their life to Christ. Right? It was a beautiful story, beautiful. Um, and it's just, that's why I'm so vocal with you guys, in that you got to share your testimony out as well to the world. You got to share your story, share your belief and faith and what you discover within life, because it touches people on so many levels. So many people are abused as children, and people need that word of encouragement, that even through those tough times in their life, um, they can find the creator. They can find that love of their creator. They can find that love of Christ within their life, and it changes them. And then they can be that inspiration for those who went through that same thing, who feel ashamed or who feel scared to share their experiences because of what happened to them. So yeah, it's amazing stuff. Hey, how's it going, Jay? Um, so during this, I was posting some interesting scriptures and whatnot, and there was this guy on here that was talking about me, and actually almost in a way judging me over this beautiful podcast. And some of it was kind of funny in a way, but it was the main point that there was a beautiful people that were talking about their life, and this person was bad mouthing me in a way. and I don't care if people talk bad about me, talk good about me, um, it doesn't matter. But if it's somebody else, hey, how's it going, Derek? But if it's somebody else, that can be heartbreaking for them. That can turn them away. If they're a depressed person, and then being judged while they're trying to listen to this topic, it can lead them to a deeper depressed state, and that's not good. That's not good. I've talked to people at work. I've talked to people on the streets. The same thing. They're judging people and not realizing that when they're judging those people, it can lead them over the edge. Maybe that next day they commit suicide because of that judgment from that person. So we got to be mindful when we're talking with people. We got to be mindful on what we're presenting ourselves. Every time we speak, it needs to be something that is going to lay a foundation of change, lay a foundation of growth, just uplift people. If you're not doing that, you're wasting your breath, you're wasting your energy, and you're hurting people and you're hurting yourselves. You're hurting people and you're hurting yourselves, and it's frustrating because a lot of people do this. So I decided to, since I was judged, and I'm going to read a scripture on here. Since I was judged, ye shall also be judged. So I judged that person for what he said about me. I was like, hey man, these beautiful people just shared a beautiful story, and you were talking smack about me. You're talking about me, telling me to be quiet, and things of that nature. So I was like, you know what, man? You're gonna be judged yourself. If you have nothing beautiful to say about what they're saying, then you don't need to be here. He basically was a troll. He basically was a troll, and I called him just a troll. I was like, if you want to be mature and you want to talk, then when your mature level is there, then let's talk. But until then, you're going to be a trolling jester to me. And that's a lot of times that's what these people are. They're little jesters. They're court jesters. Just like in a old-fashioned kingdom, right? They had jesters, and they tried to please the king with their jokes and their crude humor, whatever it may be. But if that jester could not make the king laugh, what happened to the jester? They cut his head off. And then they asked for another jester. And you can view that like with Saturday Night Live. That's like, that's also jesters as well. So yeah, it was very interesting. And we ended up talking back and forth about certain topics, certain elements, and things of that nature. But I was very mindful when I was doing this, because a lot of times you can be led astray. And too much energy gets put into this topic of judged and ye shall be judged element. I've done this in the past. I would talk for hours and hours and hours. It basically ended up being a book, and that wastes your energy and it wastes your time. So I was like, okay, I don't want to put too much energy into this, but there's definitely something leading me to me putting on this kind of conversation. So I wrote some stuff down. We talked about some scriptures. We talked about some history about, on where the roots of the Bible were. Part of it was Hebrew, and then he was saying the New Testament was Greek oriented. So things like that. And we were talking about that, and then I just left it as is. And I didn't want to feed any more energy into it. But it sparked a lot of things, because we need to talk about being mindful as we're being judged. It's so very important. So I'm going to go ahead and again the scriptures here. I don't plan to be on here live too long, but we'll see what happens here. So these are going to be scriptures about, we'll go ahead and read some on judgment. And the very first one that I came across was this one here. So Romans 2:1. You therefore have no excuse. You will pass judgment on someone else. For at whatever point you judge another, you are condemning yourself, because you who pass judgment do the same things. You do the same things. And this creates an argument too, as you have to be mindful of this. So since he judged me, he opened up the doorway to be judged himself. And that's what was presented. Well, you judged me as well. Well, of course, because you judged me first. And that's where we have to really look at that element, is that we need to be mindful and we need to be helping people uplift. But if we start ridiculing people or saying, the scripture says this and what you're saying is false and blah, 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 that's creating judgment upon yourself. We have to look at different elements and different areas on what judgment is, and just creating a conversation. We have to talk. You know, so many people have so many um, uh, different perceptions on life, viewpoints on life. Uh, we have to be mindful with these people and where they're at in their current path. We can't be shoving down a certain perspective on people. We can't be condemning something because they have strong religious viewpoints, right? And I talk about religion and a lot of times, and how it will set people back. But if they're growing within spirit and they're building a foundation with Christ and they're going to church building that, then that's awesome. It is. But eventually they're going to have more questions, and they're going to have questions that the church can't answer. So they're going to continue on their journey, and sometimes they can get discouraged on their walk with Christ. So they look towards others who have a open mind, different viewpoints on things, whether it be from myself or from True Seeker, or Michael Basham, or whatever it may be. We bring different things to the table to help you guys. So we're not judging others, but we're learning and growing. That's the key word. Let's see, Matthew 7:1. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. Proverbs 21:2. A person may think their own ways are right, but the Almighty, the Most High, weighs the heart. Weighs the heart. And that's very important too, is that our hearts will be weighed by our burdens or by our selfish desires. We need to learn to judge ourselves first. When we're venturing out to the world, we need to test and weigh our ego. Sin is ego. We need to test our ego. We need to test on how we carry ourselves. And we need to test on how trusting we're presenting ourselves. I don't know if it'd be trusting, but maybe being honest. That's the word I was looking for. Being honest. Weighing our honesty with others. Are we just playing people's hearts and just saying things, but we're not actually living the walk that we present ourselves with? That's a huge one. That is a huge one. There's so many people that get they have 500,000 or 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And they lead the people, right? They're leading the people, and they're like, oh man, this guy is awesome. This guy's amazing, full of the spirit and truth. But when you go and meet the actual person, you realize that he's not walking what he's preaching. He's not walking what he's preaching. And that's very key. And that's where, that when we're learning from people, we need to just be walking beside people. And that's what I've always presented with you guys, is that, let's learn together, let's walk together, and then continue on our path. Because, if you look at me as I'm on a pedestal, I'm going to lead you astray if you view me as that. If you view me as an idol, I will lead you astray. Because you're viewing me as a person, and you're not viewing me as a person that is helping, aiding you in discovering Christ within you, looking within yourself, and learning about life within you. You are your own teacher. You have to carry yourself. You have to live with yourself. You need to be able to look yourself in the mirror and be able to respect yourself as well, because you feel some kind of guilt or depression or anxiety or something like that when you look yourself in the mirror. You need to check yourself, and that's what I'm all about. And it's all paying attention to the words. So I'm not too sure where I was going with that, but yeah. Let's see, Romans 14:13. Therefore, let us not stop passing judgment on one another. Instead, make up your mind not to put any stumbling blocks or obstacles in the way of our brothers and sisters. And that's what I just talked about right there in Romans 14:13. Is that we need to be mindful of what we talk about. Always. Always. Every time we speak, we're invoking some kind of magic spell to the people. We are. We're going to either allow people to rise up, wise up, and get more on a personal level with Christ, their creator, and create a better, more, the best version of you, or you're going to condemn people. You're going to allow people to fall and stumble. And you're going to be judged upon those kind of works. You are. And I wrote an interesting thing that came across for this video is that, for we are not judged by humans, we are judged by the spirits that host as humans. And I've been hinting at this throughout my videos, and there's even scriptures to back this up as well, is that when we're talking with people, we're dealing with spirits. What kind of spirit are we talking to when we're talking to the host, right? Because we can be talking to a spirit of confusion. We could be talking to a spirit of anxiety, a spirit of depression, a spirit of faith, a spirit of hope. We're talking with all these kind of different elements of spirits, which are also elements of ego as well. So we have to be mindful in who we're talking to and who we're sharing our energy with. Because energy is being used at all times. It is. And it is real fascinating how deep it gets. And I've been looking more into dreams as well. Man, I had some weird dreams last night. I really did. But we'll talk about dreams later. I'm still doing a lot of research on it. The last, well, it wasn't the last one. I think it was the podcast that True Seeker had on Tuesday. He had a beautiful woman that was expert in dreams, and she has a couple books out. I got to get her name and things like that. But yeah, she was really talking about on how our dreams are really elements of our higher self, just communicating with us. We're basically communicating with ourselves at all times, which the term higher selves comes in. And I've talked about higher selves too, that we have to really look at these elements of higher selves, whether it be the 4th dimensional self, 5th dimensional self, 6th dimensional self, the 20th dimensional self, whatever it is, right? People can create them as an Arcturian self or Palladian self or a Draco self or whatever it may be. You can name these dimensions whatever you want, but it's a form and aspect of self. And it can also be to, like, say, a Draco could be a form of the ego of hatefulness or deceit or jealousy, something like that. And what is that? When you break it down like that, what is that? That is an aspect of self. That is a part of us. We should never condemn what is a part of us. We have to learn to adapt to it and learn, that we have to grab these spirits and set them down. The spirit of deceitfulness will try to run up. You got to go, hey, sit down, put yourself in place. And then the spirit of eagerness will try to get up, right? Run up. And then you got to grab them and say, hey, sit down. Got to put you in your place. You're the guiding point for all of these. The spirit of hopefulness sometimes can get too out there, and it'll run up in front of you. You'll be like, "Oh, sit down. I know you're trying to do good, but you got to sit down. You got to calm down. You've got all of this round table of egos and perceptions that surround you, and you got to keep it in balance. That's the key word of balancing your life out. Is that you got to be mindful of all of these characteristics and personas of self, right? This is getting deep here, but you got to be able to master these elements and realize that they are part of you, but you need to realize that they're not going to control you unless you allow them to. Just like with the Satan concept, Satan is sitting behind you and he's trying to venture out too. Hey, I want to go and do this. I want to venture out here. Satan, get behind me. And then Satan will try again. Hey, I want to go over this way. What's going on over here? Come on, let's go, go, go. Satan, get behind me. And then pull him back behind me again, right? Put them in their place. You got to be, as you grow up in life, you got to have a sense of maturity, a sense of growth, and a sense of change in your life, because we are the role models for the young people. We're the role models for children and for teenagers, and they got to be able to go to some kind of elder to learn. America's really bad. There's a lot of good people, but America as a whole is really bad in teaching people on how to run with the ego and how to live by the ego. Be like, and that's why so many people have such a hard time with sexual preference, right? Sexual preference in the United States because of that, what the American mind is feeding the people, is feeding that people. And it's gotten real bad, after 2001, the ego has been off the chain. It's been off the chain. It's crazy, man. It really is. And we just have to be mindful, and we have to not fall victim to the ways of the world, right? Don't follow the ways of the world, for the world will deceive you and lead you astray. So we just got to be mindful of that. So let's go ahead and keep reading some of the scriptures here. Let's see. Matthew 12:36. But I tell you that everyone will have to give account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken. Every empty word they have spoken. And that's a key thing too, is that if you're not helping people learn about life, create a better life for themselves, and help people to create the best versions of themselves, they're empty words. Their words are wasted. They have wasted their time. They have wasted their energy. Just like me making videos. These videos have to be presented in a way that's going to help people and aid people. If it's not doing that, if I am not doing that in these videos, then I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting your time. I'm wasting my time. So we have to be real mindful in how we're presenting these videos and trying to make sure that what is presented is helping people make a better life, make a better choice in their lives. We have to be on a level that we're mindful with people. People are going through a lot of chaotic times in their life, whether it be through depression, anxiety, discovering about God. So many people are questioning God. If God truly loved me, I wouldn't have had such a horrible childhood of abuse, or my parents left me, or my parents died at an early age. If God loved me, these bad things wouldn't have happened. People are questioning God. People are questioning Christ. Oh, Christ isn't real. Christ is just a figment of religious imagination, right? So we have to present Christ in a different manner. We have to present spirituality in a different manner, because people are exploring into spirituality, dealing with spirits, and different kind of elements of that nature. So we have to be mindful and do the research and present this stuff out there for people to comprehend with, right? And I can get real deep too, and not everybody's going to be able to comprehend what I'm talking about, but it's being mindful, it's being real, it's being open and honest. And that's what I present to you guys, and that's what we need to present to the world. And so many people are starting to sit into that seat of being open and honest and say, hey, I'm not perfect. I'm learning with you guys. Am I going to be proven honest sometimes? Oh yeah, definitely. And that's just the product of error and research and continuing forward. I'm learning daily. I am solving the puzzles and mysteries of life, the Bible, spirituality, how people present themselves. I'm learning about all this stuff daily. I'm learning on how to express my words uh, in a way that is open-minded to the people, so then they can better understand it more. Because if we're speaking cryptic or a lot of parables, sometimes it's so encrypted that the basic human mind isn't going to be able to grasp it. So I always look at different ways and how to present that. So it's always being mindful in that manner. Let's see, Matthew 7:3. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? Again, if we're paying so much attention to others and not paying attention to yourself, there's a serious issue there. You cannot go out into the world trying to help save people if you can't even save yourself. That's why it's so important to do your own healing, self-growth, and development within yourself first. Being able to relate with yourself, learning how to heal your emotional karma and drama within your own life. And that's why you have to do praying and meditation and getting closer with that Christ energy within, and getting closer with the Creator within you. Whatever it may be, you need to be sitting down daily and learning the power of forgiveness. The power of surrender is huge. The power of surrender. Surrender those emotions that you may have, whether it be you're angry at someone, or you feel that you've lost a person's trust. Things like that. Those elements will present themselves in your life, and we have to be able to let that go. Let that go. Whether it be at night or in the morning, let that go. Say a prayer, meditate, let it go. Hey, forgive me for I judged that person, or hey, forgive that person for they judged me. Whatever it may be, just let it go. Let it go. The power of surrender. You're surrendering those energies away from you, because otherwise you're going to create a burden, and your heart's going to get hardened with all of this commotion and chaos that goes on in the world. We're always going to be surrounded by some kind of chaos. It's how you handle it and how you handle yourself. That is the key word. Is handling yourself and maintaining yourself, because you need to take care of yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself and you're giving your energy to everybody else, you're going to deplete yourself. You're going to get sick. You're going to end up in the hospital, and you could even die because you're not taking care of yourself. So taking care of yourself is key. Take care of yourself, and then you take care of others. Luke 6:37. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. And that's why I said the power of forgiveness is key. Someone judges you, forgive and let go. Now, if they get out of line, like what I went through, definitely speak your mind and present something ideal. Be mindful in what you're presenting out there. Say, hey, these people were talking about some beautiful stuff. How come you're talking about me? Be mindful of what you're talking about and who is listening with you. So yeah, forgiveness is key. Let's see, Romans 14:4. Who are you to judge someone else's servant? To their own master. Servants stand or fall, and they will stand. For the Most High, the Almighty, is able to make them stand. And that's a parable there as well. Is that, whether it be, you're a leader and you have followers with you, you're going to be judged in that manner. The same way with those occults, those occults that lead people astray. You will also be judged as well. So, it's being mindful in that area. That's a deeper level one. That one's really hard to interpret at the moment. Isaiah 54:17. No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Most High, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Almighty, the Most High. And that again too is that, judged and ye shall be judged, basically. Romans 2:12. All who sin or live in ego, apart from the law, will also perish apart from the law. And all who sin or live in ego under the law will be judged by the law. We're going to be judged by the law of humans, and we're going to be judged by the spirits of the higher realms. We're being judged constantly. Everything we do is being watched. We are being watched constantly. Hence the big brother, right? There's cameras everywhere. Everything that you type, whether it be on Twitter or Facebook or what we present on YouTube or Facebook Live or Instagram, whatever it is, we're being watched constantly. We're being judged constantly. And if we get online or if we mess with the wrong kind of people, we're going to have to answer to what we presented to the world. What we present to the world. Again, be mindful of what we present out there. Because sometime down the road, you could be judged according to what you brought out into the world. So definitely think about that. Hebrews 13:4. Marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure. For the Most High will judge the adulterer and the sexually immoral. And that goes on a different subject. But as a whole, again, once we're married to our spouse, right? And hence, as soon as you have sexual intercourse with someone, you're married right there. You're married right there. So if you are pure and you've never slept with anybody before, the first time you sleep with someone, you're married and you're bound to them on a physical level and on a spiritual level. So we're already married. And then if you go outside that marriage, right, then you're performing adultery in the laws of the Most Highs. And you're marrying a lot more people. So you're sinning against yourself. So it's this is definitely a different topic as well, but as a whole, we have to be mindful of what we're doing. Why are we lusting after the bodies of others when we've already committed our body to someone else? This is why sex is a sacred, energetic experience that should not be messed around with or played around with. So many people are like, oh, you got to open up to this sexual urges. You can't condemn the sexual urges. Yeah, you can. That's where the spirits are lying to you, man. That's where the sexual spirit is like, oh yeah, let's go check this one out. Yeah, we got to go test drive this person here. No, get back here, sexual. Sit down. Mind yourself. Pay attention. Mind yourself. You're getting out of line here. We have to be mindful, and that's where the new age will trick you. Trickery. Will think, that your sexual urges are normal and that you have to do sexual exploration. No, you have to be mindful of what you're doing. You're doing a spiritual exchange, an exchange of energy, and that can lead into a vampire exchange. That can lead on so many levels. You can get sick from sexual exchange if you're not careful. So be mindful, man. Be mindful. John 3:17. For the Most High did not send his Son, Christ, into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. To save the world through him. If you read, like I said, if you read anything in the Bible, read the life and death of Christ. And Christ will show you on how the ways of the world work. And, and Christ will also show you, the frustrations that he had with human doctrine, on in these churches and whatnot. He despised human doctrine, and he just was astonished on how human doctrines have overtaken the spiritual exploration of self, going within self. People built churches to look outside self. Churches are an outside self exploration of meditation. Meditation is within. Your church, your assembly is within you. You need to be sitting down and being within your own assembly, and learning with the Creator, walking with the Creator and Christ within you daily. You don't need to be going to no church on Sunday to present some kind of good work, or or express that you have some kind of faith in a Creator or Christ. You're not here to please the people. You're here to walk this spiritual path and have a spiritual experience within yourself. And once you have discovered that balance within yourself, then you can begin to help people and aid people on their journey. So yeah, this stuff gets deep, man. I'm going to have to end this here in about 20 minutes. But yeah, this stuff gets deep. I think I'm going to go ahead and read some scriptures about being mindful, because it kind of is the same way. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, let's go ahead and read some scriptures on the other one that I got here. So Genesis 19, 1 through 38. Holy cow, this might be long. Let's see here. The two angels, messengers, came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them, and bowed himself with his face to the earth, and said, My lords, please turn aside to your servant's house, and spend the night, and wash your feet. Then you may rise up early and go on your way. They said, No, we will spend the night in the town square. But he pressed them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered his house. And he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread. And they ate. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man, surrounded the house. And they called to Lot, Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them. And then it gets real deeper on that. It's just being mindful as well, is that, we're going to be judged. And that's a deeper level too. The two angels is actually the two witnesses. We'll always have two witnesses within our lives that's going to test us. The witness of being mindful and the witness of judgment. Oh, and that's a good one too. The witness of judgment. We're always going to have that witness of judgment in our lives. We're going to always have that witness of being mindful within our lives. The basic story of the angels and the demons wrestling within us. We always have that constant battle of the angels and demons wrestling within us, and we have to learn how to balance our way through. And that's what I talked about, is that we have to begin in the ground, right? Adam's, the translation for Adam is of the ground, right? Of the ground. We have to start from the root and rise up within our being. And we're going to be constantly having to fight through the angels and demons that are battling within us constantly, both not only within ourselves, but outside ourselves. So the two witnesses is being mindful and judgment. At least that is currently what it is. That's interesting. Definitely interesting. 1 Peter 2:9. But you are the chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people from his own possession, or from the people's own possession, that you may proclaim the excellence is of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. And this is something that I'm doing research on as well, is the chosen. What is the chosen race and what is being presented out there? Because we have the fallen angels that fell from heaven, but we also have souls that have descended from heaven to help people rise up as well, to help rise the fallen ones. So it's a mixed bag. That's definitely interesting scripture. James 2:20. Do you want to be shown, you foolish person, that faith apart from works is useless. That faith apart from works is useless, right? And that again is presenting yourself. How you're presenting yourself. Again, with human doctrines or the churches, the Vatican, for example, or even, yeah, we'll just say the Vatican, for example, that is that they put themselves on a pedestal of their faith, right? Of their faith with the Most High. But they're foolish and their work is in vain because it's not presenting the works of the Most High within you. It's going within self. These churches don't teach you to go within self and to have a personal walk with Christ and the Most High. So therefore they are foolish and they're leading you astray and deceiving you because they're not teaching you the true teachings of Christ. So it's something you definitely have to do research on. James 1:25. James 1:21. I'm going to have to end this here. I can't talk. James 1:21. Therefore put away all filthiness and rampant wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your souls. Which is able to save your souls. And that's beautiful. That is what we should be presenting ourselves to the world, is being an impact in people's lives. When we're presenting ourselves in the spotlight, it should be that of saving people, of helping people, of aiding people to present themselves, to help themselves. When people are talking about on how they were abused as a kid and how they rised up and how they built a community around that, helping, setting up round tables of people being able to fellowship with each other, learning on how to help heal each other's scars and wounds, whether it be alcoholism or drugs or things of that nature. When we are fellowshipping with others and we're healing each other and helping each other out on our path of healing and forgiveness and surrendering, that's good works, and that's the kind of message that we should be presenting ourselves in these kind of platforms, whether it be through Facebook or YouTube. That's what we should be presenting ourselves. We shouldn't have to what would that word be? Prove our worthiness to the world, right? A lot of times we have to prove our worthiness. It don't matter. That's part of being judged. That's why I made that video of we don't need to present our worthiness to the world. We just need to be real, open, and honest. And people will read upon that and they'll be like, oh, okay, well, that's what Adam was talking about. I just need to be open and honest with myself. And, if I want to have a better life, it starts with me. I need to learn the power of forgiveness and the power of surrender to have a better life, and that's what I present to you guys. That's my message to you guys, and that's my hope, is that's what I'm presenting to you. So yeah, beautiful stuff, man. Oh, hey, how's it going, Talea? We got Cameron. How's it going? So yeah, thank you for joining me in the chat room. I'm gonna have to end this here shortly. I gotta go cook dinner and everything. I love these graveyard shifts. Let's see here. Acts 17:11. Now these Jews were more noble than those in the... Nah, I ain't gonna mess with that. That's a whole different level. There's hidden symbolisms between in the Bible, and when they talk about Jews and the Canaanites and the Romans and the Egyptians, there's hidden symbolisms within the Bible, and it actually presents itself in a different manner. So I'll talk about that in another video. Let's see what we got here. 1 John 4:1-21. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, the Most High's. For many false prophets have gone out into the world, but this the Spirit of the Most High's. Every spirit that confesses that Christ the Messiah has come in the flesh is from the Most High's. And every spirit that does not confess that the Christ energy, is not from the Most High's, this is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you heard was coming and now is in the world already. Little children, you are from the Most High's and have overcome them. For he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. They are from the world, therefore they speak from the world, and the world listens to them. And I'm going to actually end this video on that. The world will listen to them. And this is the reality that we all have to face, is that this is Satan's domain. This is Satan's world. We have Satan's judgment, the laws on this world. You take Vatican, for example. That is Satan's judgment upon the world. The Pope is the God of this world. And we have to come to that realization. Don't follow the ways of the world, for the world will deceive you. The Prince of Air runs this world as well. And we have to be mindful of that. And we have to realize that. And that's why I said, the fallen angels came to this world and they live of the flesh. They live of the flesh. And it gets real deep. And we just have to be mindful of that. The Antichrist surrounds us. Human doctrines can be a representation of the Antichrist because it's going against our very nature. And what is our nature? The nature is within us. We have that Christ energy within. Our soul is from the heavens above. And we descended down from the heavens into this host. And we have the choice to either live by the ways of the world or live against the ways of the world and present the heavenly laws to the world. So it's one or the other. You cannot serve two masters. That's why it says you cannot serve masters. You cannot serve the ways of the world and serve the ways of heaven. It's one or the other. It's one or the other. And this is why it says all shall be deceived in the end. Because this world, this false reality, this false light, it looks good, right? There's a lot of things that are pleasing to the eye. Nature is beautiful. A lot of things are beautiful, right? But at the end of the day, it can consume us. This beautiful world can consume us. Our image can consume us. The image of others can consume us. Idols. People can present themselves as idols. It's all the false light. It's trying to be that Antichrist or that anti-Mashiach energy, right? That Mashiach energy, the false Mashiach energy is presenting itself to us. So we have to look within ourselves. We have to look at the teachings of Christ and the power of prayer and meditation, going within self, having a personal walk with the Creator and Christ, that Mashiach energy, and learning what Christ was talking about on a personal level with Christ. We don't have to build no altar. We don't have to go to these church buildings. We don't have to present ourselves, and that's what the spirits is telling me, on how people present themselves on the street. I'm trying to go, you're going to be condemned to hell if you don't give your life to Christ, right? You're presenting yourself as some kind of idol because you're trying to preach out in Satan's domain. Satan don't want you to be doing that. So Satan's going to condemn you and judge you for that because you're on Satan's domain. So you got to present yourself in a different manner. And it gets deep on so many levels. It definitely gets deep. So I gotta go ahead and close this out. So at the end of the day, we need to be mindful of what we're doing. We need to be mindful of what we're doing. Everything that we talk about, every breath we take needs to be mindful, needs to be respectful, needs to be presented out into the world in a way that's going to help people. Judging people is a waste of breath. Unless if you are judged. Now, if you are judged, be mindful and how you're going to present that self to them. Because when you're judged, you need to speak up. You have a voice. You need to speak up. But be mindful when you speak up. And make sure that that person that judged you is learning from you. Say, hey, you judged me, and that's all right. That's if that's how you think I am, then that's how you think I am. But I could be a different person. I could be a person that is full of anxiety or depression and things like that. and then you could lead that person into suicide or lead that person down a dark road that they don't need to be going down. So be mindful. Every word you say can be a influence on a person, a child, a teenager, an adult. Be mindful. Be mindful. Um, Present yourself in a way that is honest and pure. Be mindful. Um, if you're not dealing with your own personal demons and scars from the past, be mindful. Take care of yourself first. Learn forgiveness. Get on that personal walk with your Creator. Get on that personal walk with Christ. Be mindful. Heal yourself. Fix yourself. And once you have uh, aligned yourself with that, then you can go out to the world. Then your words will matter. Then your words will be an influence to others. So heal yourself, and then you can help others as well. Um, so yeah, so be mindful, man. Be mindful. Are we going to be judged? Oh yeah, we will be judged. It's just when you're being judged, be mindful on how you're going to present that to them. What kind of words are you going to present to them? Show them the error of their ways. Show them the error of their ways. Don't preach to them, because that is the number one thing you never do when someone's judging you, because that's going to create conflict and an argument. So when someone judges you, be mindful and go, hey, why do you think that way? Put them on the spot. Why do you think that way? Um, how come you're judging me right now? Oh no, I'm not judging you. And then you can say, hey, you are, and you're lying to yourself right now because you just judged me, and now you're saying you're not judging me. And you'll put them on the spot. You need to put these people on the spot, and they will begin to start aligning themselves because they're in that state of chaos, and they're going to have to um, uh, begin to align themselves in that chaos. That's why when people will be like, "Oh well, I didn't mean that," or I didn't mean that. That's their state of chaos. They're catching themselves. They're in a chaotic state, so they're swerving back and forth in a chaos. So yeah, so just when people judge you, just be mindful on how you're going to present yourself. And that's really what the spirits tell me. Just be mindful in the state of judgment. So yeah. So love yourself. Keep shining bright. Thank you all for joining me in the chat room. Definitely appreciate it. Let's see what we got going on. Talea says, yeah, sometimes we forget to love one another as much as we love our loved ones and the Lord or God or the Most Highs. And yeah, we got to bring love into this as well. I always kind of forget to talk about the love element because I'm so much about balance. But yeah, we got to be mindful, and we got to present that kind of love to the world. And love is a representation of compassion um, and respectfulness as well. So we got to bring love into that manner as well, and that's creating a balance into your life as well. So yeah, so be mindful, um, be loved, be respectful, um, and when you're helping someone out, just tell them, hey, that there is a love that is eternal that lives within you, that Christ energy, or give your life to Christ. Is so very important to discover. Like I said, giving your life to Christ isn't religion. It is a part of us. That energy is a part of us. And if it makes your life better and it learns about forgiveness and surrender, then that's something pure. That's something beautiful. And why would you want to keep someone away from something beautiful that's already built within us? So yeah. So love yourself, keep shining bright. Just realize, that if you want to reach your Creator and reach Christ on a personal level, it's within. Look into meditation and the power of prayer. The power of prayer is beautiful as well. So yeah. So thank you all for joining me, chat room. Love yourself, keep shining bright, and I'll talk to you guys later. Be mindful. Be mindful. That's the key word. So yeah.